Hello, welcome to the conversation in New Central Television. This is a program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings on the African continent. I am Benga Aboroa.
And I am Rita Omodia. Today on the conversation, we will be discussing situations in Senegal as opposition leader Ousmane Sonko led a noisy but peaceful protest after authorities blocked a rally to confirm he would run in the upcoming presidential elections.
And also on the program today, we would look at Nigeria's National Assembly's decision to set aside 70 billion naira for its members from the 819 billion federal supplementary budget approved last week. This action has raised so many controversies, and rightly so, Rita. So there are over 200 million Nigerians, and then 109 plus 360 members of the House of Representatives decide to set aside 70 billion. What is so special about them that they need this special palliative?
Well, according to what they said it's not just about a special gift for them, that it's also for renovation of the National Assembly, and they are not the only ones in the National Assembly. There are other people, workers, and I don't know if you saw the comment they said they brought chairs.
Yes, they renovated the last National Assembly when President Buhari was in government. It's almost like after every administration they have to renovate it. What kind of work do they do there that it needs renovation?
It talked about the chairs and tables that they had to bring to the National Assembly, that it's really hard for them. I mean, these are what the lawmakers are saying, so that's the reason why they need the renovation in the National Assembly.
I mean, they are lawmakers, they're serving us, so they should get anything they ask for. If you ask me.
Anyway, still in Nigeria, I mean, talking about the All Progressives Congress, we're seeing a new acting party chairman, President Abubakar Kyari. You know, earlier on today, we saw the supposed reports of the resignation of the former chairman, that is Abdullahi Adamo, and some people thought it was rumors, but I mean, today, party confirming it, it shows that they have a new acting chairman.
And observers of politics had pointed towards this, that, you know, there's a new president and they would likely we're most likely going to see a change in the leadership of the All Progressive Congress. So we've seen that, and that of Mr. Omishore. So it'll be nice to see how things pan out there. But let's start off in Senegal, where opposition leader Ousmane Sonko organized a peaceful protest after his planned rally to announce his candidacy for presidential elections was blocked by authorities. Donning a red attire as a symbol of anger, Sonko led the protest by banging pots and pans outside his home, despite facing legal challenges to his eligibility due to previous criminal convictions. Sonko maintains that he's still qualified to run for the presidency.
The protest gained momentum across different districts of the capital city, Dakar, and other major towns, demonstrating widespread support for Sonko's cause. The demonstration was a resounding message of discontent and a call for President Macky Sall to step down peacefully. Sonko accuses Sall of attempting to suppress his party, PASTEF, and prevent him from becoming a presidential candidate. And now joining us for this conversation, we have Abdoulaye Baba Hassan, is a journalist. He joins us from the capital of Senegal, Dakar. We also have Ibrahim Toure, is a public affairs analyst, also joining us from Dakar, Senegal. Gentlemen, welcome to the conversation.
Hello, good afternoon from Dakar, Benga. How are you all?
Good afternoon. So I'm going to begin with you, and I would like you to provide some context, you know, and explain the significance of Ousmane Sonko's decision to stage peaceful protests in Senegal. How exactly does this action reflect the current political climate we're seeing in the country?
Well, very well, like you actually stated, in the opening of the program, Sonko and his party, PASTEF, and of course the opposition coalition known as Yewi as Can We, they all believe that Macky Sall has this hidden agenda of suppressing the group and making sure that he continues with his mandate, that is a third-term agenda in office. But what also is the different dynamic we have here is the fact that Sonko right now faces two legal issues. One is that of defamation against the serving Minister of Tourism, Mbai Nyang, and the second is that of alleged rape and multiple death threat issued to a massage parlor employee, Ajisar. Now, that alone, technically speaking, means that if they're going to apply Articles 29, 30, 31, and 57, of the Senegalese electoral code means that he cannot run for presidency because it says, they both say that once anybody that intends to run for presidency is charged in any way or facing any legal battle, that will mean him, served a jail term between 3 to 6 months, is automatically disqualified. Now, that alone is being negotiated, being reported as I can say we here in Dakar, among religious and traditional leaders. And so he would rather like not what he used to, call for this support. Oftentimes that you result in violent confrontations between his supporters and the law enforcement officers. If he goes that way, it means that he might also be with incitement, just as we have the today in the U.S. being faced for his incitement, alleged in Capitol buildings. The Suspam protest, which I saw on Sunday, is of its kind, but it is very peculiar to countries. This that will most times be peaceful but suspend. So this is a way of minimizing at all any risk or risks being this.
Now I want to follow up, Abdullahi Baba Hassan. I want to follow up on your opening statement, and I also have some questions to ask. Our viewers will be wondering why Ousmane Sonko, who has a conviction, the courts convicted him, and he still seems to be free as he exhausted all legal avenues for an appeal. And also, when Ousmane Sonko and his supporters bang pots and pans, like we've seen in the visuals we've been displaying since, what does this symbolic act mean? What message is he trying to represent? Or is he trying to get out there?
Well, I beg you clearly. I'm sorry. There seems to be a network fluctuations there, so I'm not sure I quite got you.
I will repeat.
Right now, Benga. Okay.
I'll repeat my question. I said people will be wondering, viewers will be wondering that Ousmane Sonko has a conviction. Why is he still free? As he exhausted all legal avenues to appeal this decision? And what's the significance of the banging of pots and pans like we've seen in the visuals?
Well, Benga, let me begin with responding to your second question. The significance of that really, I think, is for both Sonko himself and President Macky Sall to understand and acknowledge that Sonko is got a massive following, and that Sonko is not just a candidate by choice, but because he's got support of the population. And again, for the Senegalese population, this is a way of fighting back what they've called a systematic suppression of political actors in the country, because this started way back in 2012, according to history. Now, we also, before now, had two key opposition figures in the country. One of them is Karim Wade. He's son of former President Abdoulaye Wade. And there is also one other guy, he's Khalifa Sall, former mayor of Dakar. These two opposition politicians contested in 2019, and they had better chances, really, of winning the presidency, but they had legal issues. Both of them were charged for money laundering and illicit enrichment, and so they were disqualified. Senegalese today fear that Macky Sall intends to, even though he has said, declared, although that he's not going for a third term, they fear that he has a hidden agenda of continuing, just like his predecessor, Abdoulaye Wade, who also at the time had wanted to elongate his tenure in office, but was pushed out. The same way as we see today happening. That time, it was Macky Sall who led the protest and got him out, and he today is the president. So Senegalese, quite well, they want a change. Is Sonko the right person? Not necessarily, but right now, the one person who feel can break that cycle of political systematic suppression of politicians in the country. And so it is quite significant.
Now, Abdullah, going from what you're saying, let's understand how exactly widespread this protests were. You talked about this protest signifying the popularity of Sonko. So first of all, how widespread was it? And then secondly, in your own analysis and observation, how popular is Sonko, and what exactly does Sonko tend to bring to the table?
Well, that's a very good question that Moses is trying to bring to the first of Sonko alleges that this is mobilized more like because this is a French-speaking country. France colonized Senegal, like Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, Cote d'Ivoire. So they all have their economies controlled from Paris, and some of the economy here monitored and in France. So that's something he has promised to work on. And two, unemployment rate, according to statistics and according to him, is on the rise, and that is something that he also has promised to work on. But to speak of substantive or tangible agenda is gonna want to bring to the table or steer Senegal towards if elect, that is not so clear. Honestly, not so clear. But about Sonko's popularity, I'm very sure that even animals in Dakar, they have. I'm sure if you mention stop and stare, because he's so popular in Dakar and other regions, especially in the south. Across Senegal, Sonko is popular. Really.
I mean, there's a wave, there's a Sonko wave in Senegal that even animals have to reckon with this popularity. Now, Abdullah, the previous conviction...
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yes. The previous convictions of Ousmane Sonko have led to clashes between his supporters and security forces, and we did see those deadly clashes just recently. How has this weekend's protest been different from previous instances of unrest? Has there been any change in the government's approach to handling this protest, or are Sonko supporters more measured or more disciplined in the way they approach these protests? What made the difference this time around?
Benga, to answer to your question, to the best of my knowledge, first, the fact that it was this is more like a sauce palm protest. It's called night between 8 p.m. and 9 p.m. Basically, it had people just stay in front of their houses, or some of them at the rooftop doing that, which is quite usual. This was exactly how Sonko started his protest before. According to his perception, he wasn't heard enough and the government isn't listening. And so he asked that they come to the street. But what was the case with the deadly confrontations was more like what happened in Nigeria, the NSAS protest. I would say, professionally speaking, that Sonko supporters are young people who believe that they should have a young person. Sonko is only 48. As an MP for long, they believe that they should have somebody young, like Nigerians wanted Peter Obi to be the president because they believe he's young, he's more visionary, traveled, is well educated. Perhaps it's going to bring on something new on the table, and not just promises like politicians we come with all the time of building you new roads, infrastructures, education. Like, these are basic human rights. So nobody should come promise you all of this stuff and make you happy. And so they think he will come up with something different, right? But what we saw before is that these protests, oftentimes they get hijacked. And right now, the state is leading investigations because they said it never happened, but this time it happened. People, they will say civilians, had guns, and some of the deaths, the government argued or stated that 16 people were killed. Amnesty International, the rights group, said 23 people were killed. The PASTEF now, Sonko's party, claimed that 23 people were killed. So we have inconsistency here about the number of people killed. But overall, we can see that the protests previously were hijacked. So should Sonko be held and respected and not attract any more additional legal action? This is the best he has to do. Continue the source because it's most peaceful and people will not affect designated area, like they did before, to barricade roadblocks here and there, bonfires. And let me also tell you, Senegal, if what happened 2 years ago, Senegal is still recovering from what happened. Even the last protest of June 1 and 2, Senegal is still recovering because businesses were attacked. Shopping malls were looted, vandalized, and burnt. Banks also, the public mass transportation came, the buses, more than 50 of them were burned. And, this is how far we know that there are other forms of damages that occurred that the state is yet to report or have been reported, but the state has denied.
Recently said he wasn't going to go for a third term, and now we're seeing protests that are calling for him to step down. So let's understand why exactly there's so much clamor for him to step down from the office when he has said that he will not be contesting again.
Hello.
Can you hear me? Abdullah?
I can hear you right now. Sorry, network. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, I said.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, wonderful. I said, looking at the demands of the protesters, just recently, President Macky Sall said that he would not be contesting for a third term. So let's try and understand why exactly these protesters, or Ousmane Sonko, is calling for him to step down from office.
I hope. Can you please just repeat your question? The network is not too good.
Okay. All right. So, Abdullah, can you hear me now?
Yes, loud and clear. Yes, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
All right. So basically, I'm asking why the protesters are calling for him to step down when President Macky Sall has already said he will not be contesting for a third term.
This is very, very tricky right now. It's very tricky to give you an accurate answer. But the protest right now, it's Macky Sall has said he's not running, right? And the population is satisfied with that response. But what they need to know is whether or not Sonko will be imprisoned because he served a 2-year jail term, charged, they said, is corrupting youth. Now, if that happens, he's disqualified. So the population, I mean, most of them who just went with Sonko has from the start said that his conviction completely and politically motivated, and that this is because Macky Sall doesn't want him to run for presidency because apparently he won't be one of those guys. He becomes president, will be subjected to South control. Remember, Senegal just discovered that right now that they have oil, petrol or natural resources, and by end of the year, exploration is due to commence. So, and there is this from across the West. Russia has been here, France has been, US, Germany, like everybody's coming down here because of course, the Russia-Ukraine crisis, where they scramble for natural resources from Africa. And so it's been said also that whoever takes over the state affairs should most likely be controlled by the incumbent. And Sonko actually is not one of those people. And he has said it severally. And so the population are asking that Macky Sall leaves and allow Sonko to run all charges because they are all politically motivated.
All right, thank you so much, Abdullah. I will definitely be following up with this developments in Senegal. Thank you for sharing so much insights into this recent story. Thank you.
Very well, thank you.
national television. We'll be going for a quick break. When we come back, we go to situations in Nigeria where the Nigerian Senate has refuted claims that the appropriation bill was padded. We'll have details after this break. Stay with us.